There is a hidden source of capital you could use to buy rental properties that most investors overlook. You may even be overlooking it right now. Buying rental properties is the fastest way to pursue financial freedom. You got the cash flow, appreciation, tax benefits, and more that all make it an ideal asset class for long-term wealth creation. But the reality is that real estate is a capital-intensive business, which can make it difficult to scale up quickly and regularly add to your portfolio. Today, I'll explain how you can use the equity you have sitting in your primary residence to scale your rental portfolio. Hey everyone, it's Dave Meyer, head of real estate investing at BiggerPockets, and it's no secret, I'm a big fan of rental property investing. I've been at it for 15 years now, and it's helped me build a lot of wealth. I've been able to provide quality housing to my community, and it's going to set me up nicely for my retirement one day. But every few years, I run into a challenge of being out of capital to buy more properties. It's an experience basically every investor has. It's just part of the game. But today, I think I can help you unlock some more capital if you're bought into the idea of rental property investing and you want to enjoy the huge upside real estate investing brings. It's all about your home equity. And what is home equity? It is technically defined as the value of the ownership in your home. And you're probably thinking, I own my entire home. And yeah, that is partially true. But if you have a mortgage, you also have a big liability you have to pay off. And when you get to the technical definition, home equity is basically the value of your property minus any liabilities. So the way this works is if you had a property worth $500,000 and your mortgage was worth, say, $300,000, your home equity is $200,000, right? 500 minus 300 is 200. If in fact you had a $350,000 property that's fully paid off, no mortgage, that would be equal to your home equity. You have $350,000 of home equity. In both examples, it's a lot of money, and you might be thinking, oh, those are crazy examples, but it's actually not all that unrealistic. As of right now, homeowner equity is the highest it's ever been. The collective value of US households' equity is nearly $35 trillion. That is so much money. And when you actually figure out what the average is, the average homeowner has over $310,000 in equity, according to CoreLogic. So clearly, this is a huge amount of money that a lot of people just have sitting in their homes. And for many people, tapping into that equity to buy rental properties could be a good financial decision. But how do you do that? I will share 2 ideas with you, but then I'm also going to share with you some considerations you can think through because tapping into your home equity does come with some trade-offs that you need to consider. So the first way to tap into your home equity without, I should say, selling your home, because that is another way, but I'm going to assume for the purposes of this video that you don't want to sell your home and instead want to find more creative ways to tap into your home equity. The first option to do that is called a home equity line of credit. This is commonly referred to as HELOC, the acronym, but it stands for a home equity line of credit. And what it is a financial instrument that allows you to borrow against the equity in your home. Now, if you've never heard, a line of credit falls under the category of a revolving type of loan, which basically means you're not taking out a set amount of dollars. Like when you're taking out a mortgage, right, or a car loan, you go apply for a bank and say, I need $50,000 or $100,000. When you get a line of credit, you get a maximum amount that you're able to borrow, but you don't have to borrow all of it. So you could get a HELOC for $100,000, and then when you need $25,000, you can go borrow $25,000 on pre-established terms, and you only pay for that $25,000 rather than the $100,000 limit. And so that's a really big benefit of a home equity line of credit and why a lot of people choose to use it, because it just gives you a ton of flexibility and liquidity that you can't get in other types of financial instruments. The other benefit to getting a HELOC as opposed to the second option, which I'll share in just a minute, is that you don't need to refinance. So many people right now have really low mortgage rates, like 3% or 4%, and we don't know when those are coming back, if at all. So a lot of people rightfully value that mortgage rate, and they don't want to change their mortgage rate, which you would have to do if you're refinancing. And so the HELOC gives you the ability to tap your home equity, to take out money in a flexible way, and you get to maintain that mortgage rate that is probably pretty valuable to you. Some of the downsides to a HELOC that you should be thinking about is interest rate. because HELOCs tend to have a variable rate. You can't lock in the debt like you can with a traditional mortgage. And so if mortgage rates go up while you have some of that money drawn out on your line of credit, you'll be paying a higher interest rate. On the flip side, if rates go down, you will get a lower interest rate, but that uncertainty does create some risk that you should think about if you're going to use a HELOC. The other thing to think about is HELOCs have had this stigma in the past because people have often used them to just fuel their lifestyle. And that can be very risky, like any sort of type of consumer debt, similar to credit card debt, but it's lower than credit card debt. People can take out money and say, hey, I bought a rental property for 50 grand, but my line of credit is up to 100 grand. And so I'm going to use that other 50 grand to go buy a car or go buy something that doesn't actually generate money. And if you need to do that, you can do that. But for the purposes of this video, what I'm trying to help everyone understand is how you can use a HELOC to actually improve your financial position. And in my mind, to do that, you have to use the proceeds from the HELOC. You have to take what you get from that loan and put it into an asset that's going to better your financial position, not just use it to fuel your lifestyle. So that was our first option for tapping the home equity that you may have in your home. I am going to move on to our second option, but before, I want to remind you that if you're in real estate like I am, you don't want to lose deals juggling multiple tools. That's where REsimpli comes in. A true all-in-one CRM designed for real estate investors like us. With REsimpli, you can connect with motivated sellers through calls, texts, emails, or direct mail. Plus, enjoy free skip tracing, cash buyer searches, customizable websites, and automated drip campaigns that turn cold leads into successful deals. Head over to REsimpli.com/BiggerPockets now to start your free trial and get 50% off your first month. Once again, that's REsimpli.com/BiggerPockets. Let's now talk about our second option for tapping your home equity, and that's a cash out refinance. Now, you may have heard of the term refinancing, and there's two different types of them. Refinancing in general just basically means getting a new mortgage on your property, and people can do that for all sorts of reasons. Some people do what's called a rate and term refinance. So maybe you're living in your home, you bought in 2022 or 2023 when rates were 7.5% or 8%, and now you want to refinance to 6.5%. You can do that. That's a rate and term refinance. But there's another financial instrument called a cash out refinance, which means that you get a new loan and you sort of reset your debt to equity ratio. Typically, you still need to keep some equity in your home, about 20%, which is normal for a mortgage, but you can actually pull out the remaining equity. Let's just talk about an example here for a second to hear how that might work. All right, so let's use an example where you bought a deal a couple of years ago, let's say for $400,000, and you put 20% down, so 80 grand, that was your starting equity, and you had a mortgage liability of $320,000, the remainder. Let's fast forward, say that you went through the pandemic, your property value went up a lot, and all of a sudden your property value is now worth $600,000. And since you've been paying your mortgage on time, your mortgage liability has decreased to, let's imagine, $250,000. That would make your home equity $350,000. So in this scenario, you're sitting on this massive amount of money, $350,000. So if you wanted to do a cash out refinance, it might work like this. Your property is worth $600,000 and the bank's going to say, okay, you need to keep 20% equity to maintain a 80% loan to value ratio. And that comes out to $120,000. Next, you have to pay off that original mortgage. Remember, you still owe the first bank who originated that mortgage $250,000. And so when you add those together, $250,000 and $120,000, you have $370,000. If you subtract that from $600,000, that means you can take out about $230,000 in equity from your property. And you can do whatever you want with that money. There's no obligation that you use it to buy rental properties. I recommend that, but you actually can take that money out, do whatever you want with it. And the best part of it is it's tax-free. That is not taxed as income or as capital gains. You get to pull that all out of your property without paying a cent to the government. So hopefully you see how appealing this is. You get to stay in your home and you get to tap your home equity in a tax-free way. And another benefit I should mention is that you typically get fixed rate debt, or at least fixed rate debt is an option for people when they do a cash out refi. And this can be an incredible way for you to generate funds, and access capital to go buy rental properties. This is something I've done a lot in my career, and I highly recommend it as a way for people to tap their equity and really continue to scale their portfolio. But just like everything, there are some trade-offs, and right now, in today's investing climate, there are probably more trade-offs than there were a couple of years ago, because when you do a refi, you're getting a new mortgage, which means that you are going to get a new mortgage at current mortgage rates. So if you have a low interest rate that you really want to hang on to, you may want to favor a HELOC line of credit strategy instead of the cash out refi strategy. The second thing is that it can be a little bit more work. There's more paperwork sometimes when you do a cash out refi, but there's paperwork with a HELOC. I kind of think that those are a wash. If you're getting into rental property investing, you should be willing to do a little bit more work to find the right financing strategy for you. And then the third thing that I think is really important to remember is that you're going to have higher monthly payments on your primary residence. And this is true right now because your mortgage rate is likely to go up, but it's also just true even if your mortgage rate stays the same. Because remember our example from before. When you bought your house at 400 grand, your total loan that you were taking out was for $320,000. Now, fast forward to your new loan, you are borrowing $480,000. So even if your mortgage rate is the same, your monthly payment is going to go up. Hopefully, if you're using the proceeds to buy rental properties, that rental property will generate enough cash flow to offset that increased rising payment. But that is something that you should be thinking about and the math that you should be doing when considering whether you should do a cash out refi. So these are two great examples of how you could tap your homeowner equity. But the question is, should you be actually doing this? And of course, it depends on your individual situation. Generally speaking, I think it can make sense if you find deals that are cash flowing. And for the record, I'm talking about that real cash flow where you factor in things like vacancy and capex and repairs, none of that fake social media cash flow. Because I don't want you to put yourself in a situation where you're creating a much higher monthly payment and spend for yourself and your family if you're not using the proceeds to improve your financial position in some way. But if you can find a way to tap your home equity, keep or decrease your overall living expenses by offsetting increased payments with the cash flow that you get from your rental properties, and you get to control more strong assets for the long term, I think that's a no-brainer. And yeah, there are generally fewer cash flowing deals out there today, but they still exist. And you can definitely make these kind of deals work today. So that's it. Those are two ways that I recommend you consider tapping into your home equity to scale your rental property portfolio and pursue your goals of financial independence. For BiggerPockets, I'm Dave Meyer. Thanks for watching.